Bugatti didn't think this car could be separated in half. Matt Armstrong proved them wrong. And now, after one video, 14 months, 2 countries, a bracket that Bob improved beyond factory specification, a W16 that fired on the first crank, and an interior that exists nowhere else on any Bugatti ever built, this car is one video away from driving. Bob welded the radiator. The pressure test passed. 40 liters of coolant went in. The temperature gauge is about to tell its story. And if that story reads the right number, this Bugatti Chiron drives under its own power on a public road. But here is what nobody is saying clearly. There are 3 specific obstacles standing between where this rebuild is right now and a registered, number-plated Bugatti Chiron driving on a public road. Not vague risks. Not general concerns. 3 specific, identifiable situations, each with its own mechanics, its own timeline, its own level of uncertainty. Any one of them going wrong does not end this rebuild, but any one of them going wrong changes the next chapter completely. Today I'm going through all 3. What each one is, why it matters, how likely it is, and what happens to this rebuild if it doesn't go to plan. Because if you've been watching Matt's channel and wondering what could still go wrong, this is the honest answer. Alex drove this Bugatti without coolant. Matt mentioned it on the second channel in a way that revealed exactly how much it had been on his mind. He said, "We've seen what happened to my Huracán when it ran without coolant, burnt out the water pump seals. And there are a lot of water pumps on this Bugatti. A standard car has 1 water pump, 1 shaft seal separating coolant from oil, 1 failure point if the engine runs dry. The Bugatti Chiron has multiple. The W16 main cooling circuit. The charge air cooling circuit for the turbochargers. The gearbox oil cooling circuit. Each one with its own pump. Each pump with its own shaft seal. A shaft seal is designed to run wet. Coolant on one side, permanently lubricating the seal material and keeping it within its operating temperature range. Running dry, even briefly, degrades that material. The heat builds, the geometry changes, and the seal that was keeping coolant in and oil out begins to lose integrity. Here is the critical detail. A compromised water pump seal does not always fail immediately. It can hold under static conditions. It can hold during a cold start. It can even hold during the first few minutes of a warm-up cycle. What it cannot always hold is sustained running at full operating temperature, which is exactly what the upcoming temperature test requires. The engine will be run to full operating temperature and held there while Matt and Bob watch every instrument. If a seal has been compromised, the dipstick will tell them. Milky, creamy, coolant crossing into oil. That reading, if it appears, means the engine comes back out. Seals replaced. Engine goes back in. Weeks of additional work. So, do you think Alex's no coolant drive damaged the seals? Let me know in the comments. Here is why I think obstacle 1 is the most likely to produce a problem, and also the most likely to be completely fine. Most likely to produce a problem, the Chiron has more water pumps than any car Matt has previously worked on. More failure points. More seals at risk. And Alex's no coolant drive happened early in the rebuild, during engine testing before full assembly. The duration and load involved are unknown. Most likely to be fine. The W16 started on the first crank and ran cleanly. An engine with compromised head gaskets or seriously degraded water pump seals does not typically start cleanly and idle without fault codes. That first start was the best possible evidence of internal engine health. Not conclusive, but meaningful. If the seals were severely damaged, you would expect to see blue smoke from the exhaust, immediate oil contamination, or unusual temperature behavior. None of that happened, which suggests any damage, if it exists at all, is marginal rather than severe. Marginal damage under static and cold running conditions may still reveal itself under sustained heat. The temperature test will be the answer. Bob is in the room specifically because of this uncertainty. Because if the dipstick comes out wrong, the person Matt trusts most needs to be standing there for what happens next. Here is the specific thing to watch for. When the engine reaches operating temperature, don't watch the gauge. Watch Matt's face. Because Matt knows exactly what he is looking for. And the moment the gauge levels and holds, the moment the overflow reservoir stays clear and the dipstick comes out clean, His face will tell you obstacle 1 is behind them before he says a single word. Obstacle 1. Possible, less likely than it first appears, but not ruled out until the gauge holds. The BCM reset is the obstacle Matt cannot fix. Not with skill. Not with sourcing. Not with Bob. Not with patience. The body control module recorded the crash. It is sitting in this car right now in a post-accident state. Fault codes active across multiple systems, certain functions locked in degraded mode. For the IVA inspection, the test this car must pass before it can be road registered in the UK, the car needs to present cleanly. Warning lights off. Systems functional. No active fault codes preventing normal operation. Clearing those codes requires Bugatti's proprietary diagnostic system, Leonardo. A tool that costs between £20,000 and £30,000. A tool that exists only at Bugatti-authorized service centers. Matt has used independent diagnostic tools throughout this rebuild. Ricky at RE Performance has access to deeper diagnostic software. These tools can read codes, activate components, and test systems. What they cannot do is reset the BCM. The protocol is encrypted. Bugatti holds the key. There is no independent alternative, no workaround, no procedure that exists outside their network. This is the first moment in 14 months where Matt genuinely has no independent solution. He has to go to Bugatti, the same company that refused to supply parts, whose CEO made a very public statement against this rebuild, who have been conspicuously absent at every previous stage. Now, at the final step, he needs them. And here is what makes Obstacle 2 the most uncertain of the three. Unlike the water pump seals, which the temperature test will answer definitively, the BCM situation depends entirely on a decision made by another party. Matt cannot control it, cannot predict it, cannot engineer around it. He can only ask. Here is how I think this resolves. Not officially. Not with a statement from Bugatti. Not with the CEO acknowledging the rebuild publicly. Quietly, through a dealer. A Bugatti-authorized service center somewhere in the UK will book the car in for a diagnostic session. A technician who has been watching this rebuild will perform the reset. The car will leave with the BCM cleared. No official comment. No formal acknowledgement. This is how corporate positions and ground-level reality diverge in every industry. The official Bugatti position is that this rebuild should not be supported. The technician performing the reset is making a human decision that this specific car, which they can see has been rebuilt correctly, deserves to drive on a road. Most technicians will make the right call. The timeline is the uncertainty. Matt cannot book an IVA until the BCM is clear. Cannot get a number plate until IVA passes. The BCM reset is the gate that everything else waits behind. The specific thing to watch for here is a gap in the main channel. A week or two where no Bugatti video appears. Then a video that opens with the car presenting for IVA. That gap is when the BCM reset happens. Quietly, without fanfare. Exactly the way most of the real obstacles in this rebuild have actually been resolved. Obstacle 2 will be resolved. The uncertainty is timing, not outcome. The front end, this is the one Matt mentioned fastest and explained least. On the second channel, almost as an aside, he said they are not reusing or repairing the standard front end, and that he would show it in a video very, very soon. Then moved on. That one sentence has specific implications for the IVA inspection that most people watching have not stopped to consider. IVA assesses the vehicle as it presents. A non-standard front end on a salvage title car, one significantly modified from original specification, requires the inspector to assess those panels specifically. The structural integrity matters for pedestrians' safety assessment. Lighting positions matter for the lighting checks. Overall geometry matters for bumper impact assessment. If the new front end uses panels designed and manufactured independently, rather than sourced as original Bugatti parts, the inspector will need documentation and evidence that those panels meet the required standards. This is not an insurmountable problem. Kit cars and heavily modified vehicles pass IVA with non-standard bodywork regularly. But it adds complexity to an inspection that is already navigating a salvage title, a non-standard exhaust, and a welded gearbox mounting bracket. Every additional variable is another conversation the inspector has to have. The front end is the wild card. Not because it is the most likely to cause a problem, but because it is the least understood from the outside. Nobody beyond Matt's circle knows what it looks like, what it is made from, or whether it has already been assessed for IVA compliance. But the phrase, very, very soon, suggests it is already planned. Already in progress. Already thought through. Which means the IVA complication has probably already been considered. The delay on the reveal is not uncertainty, it is content strategy. The front end is something Matt wants his audience to wait for. All 3 obstacles have paths through them. None of them are walls. They are the final chapter of a rebuild that has spent 14 months finding paths through things that looked like walls. The temperature gauge answers obstacle 1. A technician answers obstacle 2. Matt's front end reveal answers obstacle 3. All 3 will be answered. The question is in which order, and across how many videos? Which of the 3 do you think causes the biggest delay? Tell me in the comments. Because your answer tells me exactly where you think this rebuild's last challenge is hiding. Subscribe. Because the next Matt Armstrong Bugatti video is the one we have all been waiting for. And whatever the temperature gauge reads, this story ends with that car on the road.